Alright, hello to the YouTube. So, I've been trying to film more videos, and then every time I say I'm going to, something ends up happening where I can't do it for a pretty good amount of time. So, I'm trying to get back into it again, and I'm just going to do a quick one. Just a overview of this craftsman weed eater that I've had for, I think I got it just before July, maybe a little bit before July. So I've had it for a few months, and I have put this thing through a lot. I put it through hell pretty much. Um, I've been using it, you know, the same as like you use them commercially to say. I also got the pole saw attachment, which connects onto there. You unscrew that little latch, you can put the pole saw. I've used that a ton. I've been using, but I mostly use it for weed eating, and I'm talking I weed eat through that type of stuff. Like, I mean, if you look through all those weeds and stuff, I'm cutting down stuff like that for hours on end with this thing uh, when I do it, and this thing's held up really well. It's never skipped a beat. It's never had an issue. The line that I'm using, I don't know what kind of line it is. I can't really remember. I bought like 200 feet of it, and you're supposed to put like 6 feet of it in there at a time. And you put the line in, you twist this little knob, and it turns in. This line holds up pretty good, but that's beside the point. And the things that I was worried about, that I was really worried about when I bought this saw slash trimmer slash other things, because you can get a bunch of different attachments. All the reviews were saying that this head doesn't hold up. It breaks really easy. They've had for like a week or two, and it breaks. They had to get a new head. I actually have a brand new head for this thing at my house that I bought for a previous weed eater that I never got to use. So if this thing ever decides to break, I have a brand new one that I just haven't gotten to use yet. That being said, this one's held up fine so far. There's been no issues with it. Luckily, and hopefully it continues to hold up. I mean, if you could feel the bottom of this thing, I mean, I don't know if it will come out on video. This thing's, my camera will maybe focus. Yeah, the whole bottom of this thing is just so beat up from me hanging on the ground and stuff. But I mean, it still holds up. This, I was also worried about kind of this thing, this wing nut being the only thing holding on the guard, which a lot of people take these things off anyways, but I never really do. I was always kind of worried about how flimsy it seemed, but that's held up really well. The only other thing I was worried about was the quick connect here for this multi-tool attachment. I was kind of worried about this being kind of a crummy design maybe. I wasn't sure, but I've unscrewed this thing. I moved that button in. Now I've disconnected a bunch of times and never had any issues with it. I do have a new one of these straps, but this is just an old one I've been continuing using. But yeah, this thing works really, really well. And this hasn't been started probably close to a week now, just because I've been really busy. But yeah, this WS 215 Craftsman, it's a very good machine from what I could tell. The only other things I've heard about this is that if you let them sit for, through the fall and winter, then they won't start up and stuff. I don't think that's going to be a problem, because this thing starts right up. I don't think that's going to be a problem if I drain the gas out and stuff. I really don't think it is. And if it is a problem, then that I can't really just easily diagnose and fix, it's still under warranty. I've only had it for maybe 3 months, 3 or 4 months. But if it does have any problems, then I can always just swap it out and get a new one under the warranty. So, or have the warranty fix it for me. So now I'm gonna just show you how easy this thing is to start. It's got about half a tank of gas. So all you do is you flip that. You prime this a few times. I'm not sure how many times I usually do. I usually do it like 8 to 10 times, something like that. And it should, in theory, just start right up, which I'm gonna try and do is one-handed. So bear with me here. Second pull starts right up, and yeah, I was still a little cold, so it's not gonna idle perfectly, but yeah, this thing has been an absolute beast for us. I've had zero issues whatsoever. The only complaint The only complaint that I have for this entire machine, which isn't even a really big complaint, when you're weed eating with this, my forearm, like just below my elbow, sits right here. It sits right on this craftsman symbol. So while I'm weed eating, my arm is kind of like leaning up against it like that because it's kind of like just leans up on there. And it's actually kind of nice and smooth at first. It's really nice to have that there for your elbow and stuff support wise. But I found when I'm using this thing, there is next to no, there's no insulation. There is no insulation in there to protect this from getting hot. So as I use it, because I put this thing through so much when I do use it, I mean, I'm running this thing for hours on end, for at least 2 to 3 hours minimum when I use it. And I'm not just talking about cutting stuff like small stuff like that. I'm taking this thing other places besides my house and doing it everywhere for lawn services and stuff like that. So as my arm is sitting on there, after the first 45 minutes to an hour, it does get fairly hot. So I'm always kind of moving my arm around and I kind of switch arms, and I'm not left-handed, but I have to try and do it left-handed for like 15 minutes or so my right arm can kind of cool down. That's the only complaint that I have. If this didn't get so darn hot after an extended use, it wouldn't be so bad. But besides that, this thing's great. I have zero complaints for this machine at all. And yeah, it's held up really, really good. Right through, cuts right through everything I needed to cut through. And it's cutting through stuff that really shouldn't be cutting through, actually. I mean, it's just a very, very good machine. I have no complaints, really. So that was just kind of a quick update. I know it's a really short video, but yeah. So I know it's kind of like saying, oh, I've only had it for 3 months, and that's not really a long-term review. But considering 3 months, I've put enough onto this thing that a typical homeowner, if they bought this machine, they might do about, in 3 months, they might use it 10 15 times or something like that around the house for maybe 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes a piece. But me, I've used it at least 100 times or more for 2 to 3 hours minimum. So I mean, that's a lot of hours, that's a lot of work, and that's usually at full throttle. And not that it needs to be at full throttle, but I just usually run at full throttle just to make things go a little bit quicker. But it cuts through really thick stuff, and it's got plenty of power. 25 cc's is just, it's a very adequate amount of power. I don't need anything more than that, and it's never been down on power for me anyway. The only other thing that I just remembered is when I'm weed eating with this, the only other thing is that when I'm cutting through certain things, it does get tangled up on here on the head. It, like the really long weeds, like I'll try and show you here. The weeds right, I know this is kind of blurry, but the weeds right above my, right on the left, right above my finger, those long types of weeds, when I'm cutting through those things, when I'm cutting through those, if I'm going too fast or I'm just trying to cut them down, I don't give this thing enough time to cut it up, they do get twisted around really bad, and then it will slow the head way down to the point where it might not even turn. I'll have to usually just use my foot. I'll step on part of the weeds and I'll pull it away and get the weeds off, and I'll continue to chop them up. But that's the only other thing that's really ever happened, is it just gets twisted around real easy. And other than that, never had an issue, really. That's the only, like, I guess the only performance issue is if you're cutting down those really long tall weeds that are like 3-4 feet high, and you're not, you're going too fast through too many of them, it will tend to get tangled up. But usually it's able to just cut right through it majority of the time. So that's the only other thing, really. So yeah, I know people have said craftsman lately, like the last 10 years, has been gone way downhill and stuff, and I'd be keen to agree with them that back 5-6 years ago they were junk. Like, we had a craftsman mower about 6 years ago. It was one of those black ones. It was like, they looked pretty good, but it was a black mower. That thing was like made in China or something. It was a piece of junk. It was the worst mower I've ever had in my life. And we took it back and we ended up going and getting like a Poland, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, which coincidentally we had for like 2 years. And I don't know if you can see it, but right in the middle of the screen, that is where it is resting now. That's its final resting place because the transmission blew on it. The engine's still good, but the transmission died. Yeah, well then we were lured to this guy because it was relatively inexpensive, and mainly because of that right there, figured we'd give it a shot. Had nothing but success with this mower, so then I went ahead and said, hey, we need a new weed eater. This was relatively inexpensive at the time, so I bought this thing. Had nothing but good luck with it. Bought a Craftsman chainsaw, nothing but good luck with it. So yeah, I don't know if Craftsman's just gotten back into the game of things, you know, gotten back into being good, but for us, all these new Craftsmen, like within the last 4 years, 3 to 4 years, we've had nothing but good luck with them. So yeah, so this was just like a quick update video, I guess, on this machine, and I'm gonna be doing some more update videos, hopefully in the next couple of days or so, maybe next week. It might be a week, but I'll do some more videos of the Yamaha dirt bike, the four-wheelers, and all that stuff, hopefully. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy.